I'm Catherine, and I'm a managing director. So for those who don't really know what that means, the general expectation of a managing director is a person in a suit who sits at a desk and has a lot of meetings, writes a lot of emails, and generally does important things that help the company grow. And as much as that's true, I actually wear many hats. So in 2019, my boss asked me to have a conversation about my role. I wasn't really surprised because we have conversations about my role maybe every 3 to 6 months because it changes constantly. What was interesting or surprising about this particular conversation was that he told me that he didn't really understand it himself, but there seemed to be some sort of fascination with the fact that I actually wasn't at my desk. And what's more, there were rumors that I did yoga in the afternoons. Now, at that point, I was working between Berlin and Hamburg. So not being at my Berlin desk didn't necessarily mean that I wasn't at a desk or wasn't working. And I also actually didn't do yoga in the afternoons. But I got his point. At that time, we were talking about how we could make work more flexible or more remote. And we were met with a lot of concerns and ideas that if we did that, probably actually the world would implode. Employees couldn't work anymore. It would be a disaster. So now we fast forward to June 2020. It's June 2020, and I'm standing barefoot in my kitchen making kombucha while having a meeting about a presentation with one of my colleagues with my laptop. He himself is sitting in a purple room covered with pony posters, drinking daintily from a unicorn cup. At some point, he has to get up and go to the door and break out a fight about a toy that's happening in the hallway. And during that time, another colleague sends me a message and she tells me she's going out for a run. She'll be back in around an hour and we can talk when she's back. It's maybe 3 p.m. And at that point in June 2020, all that is completely normal. So we've gone from remote work being an implosion of the world and never working to it being completely normal that people are leaving in the middle of the afternoon to go jogging and I'm in my kitchen making kombucha. And I mean, we've all had that at this point, right? We've had calls and meetings with cats running through the screen and partners in the background and kids running around, and it's fine. It actually breaks down one of the bigger challenges that there are with this whole digital thing that we're going through, because it's not that easy having this screen between us. But what it also does is it brings us a little bit closer together by showing us the humanity of the people that we work with. Those people, they have unicorn cups and they have cats that walk through screens. So coming back to June 2020, I'm standing barefoot in my kitchen making my kombucha, and I'm actually still, of course, having conversations about my role. And these conversations are happening, and at the same time, as a company, we're feeling very much relaxed because we've gone through the worst of the chaos that Corona brought, and we're sort of thinking, this is kind of cool. We are going to go into a fairly normal, remote-ish summer of work. Everybody can just do their thing, no panic. But of course, it's 2020, and things changed. So in June 2020, there's a huge shitstorm, and it's about sexism and discrimination. The internet explodes, it implodes, it explodes sideways. We're dealing with influencers. Instagram is going crazy. I'm working nonstop. We're trying to figure out what happened, what didn't happen, what should we do, what shouldn't we do, what can we say, what shouldn't we say, what's even possible, we don't know. It's chaos. It's chaos internally, it's chaos externally. It's a real challenge. And it's even more so a challenge for me because I grew up in a really multicultural, open environment, and these topics really matter to me. They matter to my very core. So I'm crushed, and I cry, and I rage, and I fight, and I dive right in there. And I almost lose my job. And I put it all on the line. And what's interesting about that time is that at no point does someone wonder what I'm doing. And at no point do I think about the risk or about the other things, the other hats that I should be wearing. It's all deeply, deeply clear. There's something in my core that just shows me what my shining star is and what I need to be doing. And it's amazing. And this goes on for months. And what's amazing about it is that at the end of that, as a company, we come out in September 2020 with a whole new awareness for this topic. We have an action plan. We have a quota for 50% for women in management, which is not something particularly regular in the industry. We have new leadership guidelines. We're working on structural changes, all of the stuff that comes with that. And it's amazing for me because I suddenly have this amazing clarity. I have a role. I am a partner all of a sudden. And I know what my purpose is and what all of it is about. So looking at all that, 2019 and 2020, period of thinking that if one thing happens, nothing's going to work, to everything working out just fine with that one thing happening, like no remote work, everybody's suddenly remote, it's fine. And looking at June 2020 versus September 2020, complete confusion, shitstorm, the world is falling apart, I'm crying, I don't know what's going on, to September 2020, we have a plan, we know what's up, everybody has a newfound clarity, including me. You look at all that and you think, okay, what's the common element? And if you ask me, actually, the common element is that everything is always changing, all the time. It's the only thing that's constant. It's the only thing that we can really rely on. So, if the question is that you're asking, or asking me, what do we do in a world where change is the only constant, then I think, well, we have to look at our values, look to your core, look to the things that make your voice tremble, that you get angry about, that you're scared of losing, that you're scared of betraying, and stick with those. Stick with those things. And that'll be your guiding star. And if all else fails, a little bit of humor and unicorn cups, they kind of help too. Thanks.